With the spooking day close at hand, I wanted to try and create some Halloween forms for some Pokemon. Some hallowed forms from a spooky region that doesn't exist. Oh, lack of existence, how spooky. Australia isn't exactly big on Halloween, and to be honest, I didn't want to do hyper edgy or anything scary for Pokemon, so expect some fun, tamer forms for Halloween. Also, most of these designs were done on stream. You should come join sometime. It's funny, we won't really have vampires in this video because I already did 2 forms for a Beast Paradox Pokemon, Swoobat, as vampires. But anyway, oh, you hear that? Must be the first of the trick-or-treaters. Oh hey, you all are pretty small even for kids. Oh no, these aren't costumes! This is actually the first idea I had for Halloween forms. Mousehold has really grown on me for being both super cute and also all the questions that arise for them. How does it work? Does a single Mousehold baby leave and become a mouse that it turns into a tandem mouse? Do the 2 leftover Mousehold parents become tandem mouse when the other babies leave? Truly a horrifying Pokemon. But what better Pokemon to have a Halloween costume trick-or-treat form for? The idea was the whole family wearing costumes. Well, not really wearing them, they actually do change forms to have this slightly scary appearance, Sanrio looking things. The mum and dad take on the form of sort of a devil and a vampire, with the first vampire's ears becoming little bat wings and the demon getting horns, and both of them having alternating teeth, vampire fangs and Oni teeth. The children on the other hand lean really hard into their costumes, one becoming a zombie even with a chewed ear, and the other a more Frankenstein version with screw-like ears. I'll be honest, all of these would be a little weird with how fleshy all the parts would be, ugh. But hey, don't harsh their Halloween vibes, they're just here for trick-or-treating. Pure ghost type for obvious reasons, and a pleasing orange and purple for the colours, alternating between them, all for that very Halloweeny vibe. Technically this is a new Evo due to it having a different name, but it's close enough. I just thought the name Costumouse was cute. Costumouse, the dress-up Pokemon, a ghost type. Evolves from Tandemouse at night while holding a Reaper's Cloth. In the region Costumouse is from, it adapted a slightly spookier appearance to blend in and unnerve Pokemon to dissuade them from predating on them. The children Costumouse are covered in a foul-smelling odour and walk around like undead. All of this in favour of avoiding being lunch. Costumouse can be quite the bully too, causing problems for anyone who doesn't give them food, especially sweet foods. The pranks they pull can be harmless, but sometimes will go too far. Costumouse has a new ability called Trick or Treat, where at the end of each turn, this Pokemon will remove the items of all Pokemon in the field for the next turn, if it was attacked or wasn't healed. I wanted to do something horse related and settled on our weird cabbage creature rider Calyrex. I was originally going to make a Knucklevi, but it didn't feel very interesting, but good old TF2 coming in clutch, reminding me of the Headless Horseman. And it dawned on me, something based on the Headless Horseman was perfect. It's got a horse that's already technically undead in both Spectria and Glastria, and Calyrex's head works amazingly as a pumpkin. I did this one with the help of the stream, but I wanted a fusion of the 2 horses. Horse anatomy is miserable to draw, but I wanted the spooky spectralness of Spectria, but keep the cool frozen parts of Glastria, sort of a dry ice flying off the creature. Calyrex themselves gets a spooky makeover with their neck orb things becoming little pumpkin orbs, and their legs becoming Burton-esque, and even their cape becoming more vampiric. Of course, can't have the Headless Horseman without the headless part, so floating away from the body connected by that dry ice is a Calyrex head. Rather normal for the most part, except for the giant pumpkin looking ominously down at you. Everything here has lighting from below to get that peak spookiness going, and the pumpkins are going to have an orange glow to them as well. This one gets the ice and ghost typing, sort of getting rid of anything Calyrex has, but it's become a ghost itself, so it's joined their steed in the ghostly menagerie. Calyrex, the High King Pokemon, a Ghost and Ice type. When given the reins of harrowing, Calyrex becomes this form. Spectra and Glastrier combine to become one. This form of Calyrex travels through the countryside and dark forests during misty nights and hunts down people lost. The myth goes that you'll hear the sounds of hooves moving slowly in the distance. Then once it stops, don't turn around as Calyrex is ready to give you a massive fright. Calyrex's head can move independently away from the main body, and a large pumpkin growing at its head absorbs the souls of any it scares. The dry ice that floats off their mount drains the will of anyone who touches it. Calyrex has a new ability called Haunting Apparition, where it lowers a foe's stats randomly when sent in. So we've got Coffe and iced coffee, but I think anyone who goes to a local coffee shop or Starbucks will know of the pumpkin spice latte. And I couldn't help myself but make a form for the premier coffee Pokemon based on it. I didn't know that pumpkin spice latte wasn't even actual pumpkin, but just spices used for it. When I think about that, it makes sense. But anyway, for Coffe, I thought it'd make sense for it to be a pumpkin regardless. Hard to make a pumpkin spice latte Pokemon if it's just a bunch of spices in a cup. This version of Coffe is squatter, a little bit gremlinoid, and may even have a body shaped like a pumpkin, if the underside is any indication. I like the idea of this one almost completely losing the lax expression it has before, instead getting that manic swirly look to it. I mean, that's pretty close to how people act about PSLs in real life anyway. Colours are pretty simple, the running theme in all of these oranges, purples, blacks and whites, so we added in just a little splash of greenery here for that little gremlin boy. Coffe Harrowed form, the caffeine Pokemon, a fairy and grass type. In the region where this Coffe is found, they have taken on a form where they have been built up on drinking a pumpkin-related drink, popular in the region. This has led to them gaining a strange power. Shorter and more squat than their Astaran forms, these versions hide in smaller spots, and ravenously hunt down drinkers of the addictive substance. Coffe have the ability to cause vines to sprout quickly and will use it to scare people about to slope down on their favourite drink. Coffe has the ability Caffeinated, which is an old ability. All Pokemon on the field speeds are harshly increased when this Pokemon enters the battlefield, but each turn after it lowers by one stage while this Pokemon is still on the field. I was going to put a clip in here of signs of those aliens running by the screen, but I can't even bring myself to watch the scene, it's too dang scary. Well, with all the talk of Mexican aliens, this, US documents leaking UFOs, that, I thought I'd show you the true alien leak, and this one originated in the Hoenn region. You ever have a really goofy idea and just go for it? This was my idea for a new Deoxys form. I guess it doesn't fit into where the DNA's thing goes on, with each form having the acronym for DNA, but well, who cares? This is based on the big-headed, big-eyed, grey alien, kind of the generic ones, the ones that probed Cartman back in the day. This form of Deoxys has big head and eyes, as well as having extra long limbs and very human hands, because it is just an average human, avoiding taxes and eating the bread. It has a kind of creepy but curious look as it stares at you, sizing you up. I wanted to add a bit of creepiness so its neck does the DNA twist other parts of its body normally does. Its hands ended up kind of looking like those sticky slap hands that kids use, which is kind of fun. Dang, should have had sticky hold as its ability. For colours I kept it to the main scheme, but the blues are swapped with purples and vice versa. Kept the psychic type for him as I don't think it really needs much more to be creepy. Deoxys Harrowed form, the DNA Pokemon, a psychic type. A strange form of Deoxys only found in a certain region. They choose this form as best to try and mimic the way humans act. It has a rubbery body capable of stretching outwards, its head capable of extending very far out thanks to its neck. This does not inspire peaceful relations between them and humans when done. Reports of Deoxys in this form at night in multitudes have been reported to have been seen at farmlands and even stealing Miltank. Many thought them to be actual human burglars before seeing their horrific look. This form of Deoxys' ability is Unnerve. Alright, let's go on to something that I'm rather proud of, and before we go in, I'll prepare you. I will be saying mummy, and I mean the Egyptian mummy, so whenever I say mummy Gardevoir, I mean that, not the other sense. Please believe me, I swear. Please, just believe me here, okay? I thought it would be cool to have a humanoid Pokemon get the mummification they deserve, and what better Pokemon than Gardevoir? See, I wanted with many of these designs to not just make spooky Pokemon spookier, but make normal Pokemon get spooky forms. I could have easily done Coffe Mummy if I really wanted a mummy Pokemon, but no, Gardevoir it is, and I wanted it almost like a stereotypical mummy, shambling about, arms out, Gardevoir's red eye peeking out glowing. I was super excited to give it this big, swirly bandage dress that wraps around the legs, in part so you could tell it's Gardevoir and not Gallade. Many people on stream said a Pharaoh Gallade would be cool, and I agree, but it ain't spooky enough for this Halloween. I started with super basic forms, but would start to add bandage hangings and tatterings all over to truly give that older look. And even adding a Sandaconda sand texture to it to show it's less bandages and more like swirling sand made to look like bandages. The arms and hands you see here are hollow. Gardevoir's real arms are either gone altogether or sort of wrapped up around the chest like real mummies. And the bandage arms are being controlled by these strange Gardevoir horn spikes. Ground Ghost is the typing for this one. It's Golok's new wife or husband. Gardeverse, the wrapped Pokemon, a ghost and ground type. Evolves from Curly after fading with the mummy ability. Gardeverse are covered in bandage-like sand that they surround themselves in so that people don't see the horror underneath. The three spikes that once held it down now are used to float its body around using a spooky energy. It can be found in dark places where it hunts for lost souls. If it finds someone it likes, it will wrap them up in bandages so that they will stay with them forever. They are a lonely Pokemon that stalk the darkness, groaning, and always looking for their next victim, human or Pokemon. Gardeverse has the ability Mummy. Let's end the video with some spooky werewolves. Sort of. The first one was a spur-of-the-moment idea from the simple idea, Werewolf. This ended up being more of a combination between a werewolf, a Frankenstein, and haunted doll, but the basic idea was a massive hulking Bewear with big sharp claws, based partially on Wormonzemon. Originally the mouth was closer to the nose, completely different to the freak mouth that Bewear normally has, but I changed it to be under as it made the most sense. Stitched up of course, because that's peak scary. Imagine if this was the thing we were hunting in Kitakami instead of the Blood Moon Ursaluna. That would be like the 5 Nights of Kitakami DLC we really need. Originally it was gonna have glowing Stitch areas, but instead chat wanted chains, so I made them chains inspired by the toxic chains of the Loyal Free, but instead has become its own thorny ghost chains that I imagine it'd probably fling out to capture enemies. I kept the colours fairly darker and a little greener for the undead Frankenstein sort of stereotype. It's just filled with ghostly energy, maybe the souls of all the Stuffles and Bewear that didn't make it. Bewearwolf, the werewolf Pokemon, a ghost and dark type. Evolves from Stuffle after fainting to a wolf or dog Pokemon during the night. A horrifying sight is Bewearwolf, as it lumbers about the forest it lives in. A horrifying sight is Bewearwolf as it lumbers about the forest it lives in. A horrid ghostly energy seeps from its body that when threatened it can take the form of sharp dangerous claws to rend anything that tries to stop it. Thought to originally be a mad scientist's experiment, it has since been found to be a gene hidden within Stuffle that activated upon being bitten by certain Pokemon that activates evolution. The chains upon its body are an advanced form of horn it can use to wrap up opponents. The werewolf's ability is Intimidate. Our final werewolf I juggled between a few different dog Pokemon. We have so many, but I wanted one that's not so obvious, one that's not too scary initially. Stoutland is a fun Pokemon, and anyone who has ever seen the Sun and Moon anime, I'm so sorry. But Werewolf Stoutland is here, and it turned out to be very Incineroar coded. I started with the main base of sticking a similar Stoutland face onto a body, similar to Incineroar's, with some big claws that Chat and I decided to really girl boss around. It started out very bipedal walrus man kind of thing. I actually found a big appreciation for the weird mustache things Stoutland has, so I ended up giving them as back wisps and tail that were inspired by them. Seeing as giving it a massive mustache like that would have been a little strange. I gave it this fuzzy sort of almost outfit looking design to the body that ended up working really well and looks very werewolf, ripping its clothes from the transformation. To make it spooky and edgy, I did end up giving it darker colours and spooky red eyes, giving it that very Lycanroc Midnight style, which I think Lycanroc Midnight is a great werewolf Pokemon in itself. With all the shadows and lighting done, this gives a very 80s or early 90s character design, in like a denim vest and jeans, a real biker mice from Mars situation. Stoutland, the werewolf Pokemon, normal and dark type. Evolves from Herdier after fainting to a wolf or dog Pokemon during the night. Stoutland are proud and loyal Pokemon that will fight for their trainer no matter the cost. However, once a full moon comes out, Stoutland lose all control and become feral, and nothing will calm it down. Many trainers have reported of the Stoutland breaking free of their Pokeballs during particularly cloudless full moon nights, never to be seen again. People theorize they are hunting down other Herdier to turn into Stoutland, but it also hunts for food ravenously during the night as well. Stoutland's ability is Intimidate. So what did you think of all the spooky mons ready to go out on the town for Halloween? Comment your thoughts down below, and if you really like it, smash the like button as if it's on the smash or pass of Mummy Gardevoir. And don't forget to subscribe to show the appreciation for the cursed visages in the video. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.